Hey everybody, this is Dan from Mechanical Malarkey. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the valve cover gasket on a 2002 to 2006 Toyota Camry 4-cylinder. These are the tools you need to change your valve cover gasket. You need a 10mm socket. You can do it by hand with a regular ratchet, but it'll be a lot faster if you have power tools. You'll need some pliers, some prying tools. You may need some RTV or liquid gasket to help hold the rubber gasket in place. And for cleaning up, you'll need some rags or paper towels and some solvent or brake clean. The first thing to do is remove this plastic cover. There's two 10mm nuts. And it's held on with these rubber pieces, so just pull up. Next, you need to remove the ignition coils. First, we'll unplug them, push on the tab on the connector, and pull the connector off. Apparently, with how old this car is, all of the wiring connector latches are very brittle, so I just broke all of them. Then there is one 10mm holding this harness holder on. Then remove the 10mm bolts holding the ignition coils on. And pull the coils out. Also a harness holder over here. Now these two hoses. Squeeze the harness clamp with a pair of pliers and move it down the hose a little bit and pull the hose off. These aren't hoses that carry any fluids, so you don't have to worry about anything spilling. Now there's a total of 10 nuts or bolts holding the valve cover on, 8 around the outside and then 2 in the middle. So remove all those. This nut brought the stud out with it. Not a big deal, just might make it a little bit harder to line up the valve cover when it's time to put it back on. Look for somewhere you can pry on it. Sometimes there's little tabs sticking out, like over here, that let you get on there a little bit. You have to move those harnesses around as you take the cover off. And the old gasket is very stuck, very stiff, because that's what rubber does when it gets old. This is so old and stiff, it actually broke apart in pieces around these spark plug tube seals that are one piece with the main gasket. Wow, these are so hard and brittle. Don't really want to leave pieces in the engine of these. It's hard to believe this used to be flexible rubber. Now with some solvent or brake clean and a rag or paper towel, we want to clean off where the gasket meets up with the engine. Once we put the cover on, we'll clean up the rest of it as best we can. So spray some on your rag and then use it to wipe off oil and other grime from the gasket mating surface here. Try to wipe towards the outside of the engine so that nothing falls into the engine, because while there is an oil filter, you don't want to put too much grime into there. It might clog up oil passages up here before it gets down to get filtered out. There are a lot of sharp edges in this casting, so that will shred paper towels, even these thicker ones. If it's been leaking for a while, all the oil built up on the outside will have collected a lot of dirt. So you really want to make sure you don't push that into the engine. And of course, don't forget about cleaning the spark plug tube seal areas as well. Looks like there's still a little bit of that old rubber stuck to these. Now let's get the valve cover ready to go back on. There's still the remaining spark plug tube seals in here, so make sure you get those out. Doesn't look like there's much oil inside where the gasket goes, but I will try to clean that out a bit. Push a rag into the channel with the screwdriver to clean it out. I also want to clean off the outside a little bit, especially over here where it's so oily. I spent a little extra time off camera cleaning it some more. Doesn't have to be perfect, just want it to be not quite as grungy looking. Now we can put the new gasket in. It should be pretty obvious which way the new gasket goes in. It's got the wider part that makes surface contact with the cylinder head. Tapered part goes into the valve cover. Of course, it is shaped for the shape of the valve cover. Then it has the spark plug tube seals as well. Now you might have the same problem I'm experiencing, which is where the gasket doesn't sit in there tight enough to stay in place as you flip the whole thing upside down. So the solution for that is to take some RTV, some liquid gasket, and put a few dabs on the rubber gasket to hold it in place. Not a ton, just enough to hold it where it's supposed to be. After that's set for a few minutes, you can install the valve cover. Once you get it in place, put all the bolts and nuts back in. With things like this, I like to do the final tightening by hand because they're pretty small bolts. Don't have to be too tight. I don't want to over tighten them or break them off with my impact. Now start putting everything back on. Don't forget the hoses. The two wiring brackets. And the ignition coils. If you're wondering what this is, that is from an aftermarket remote start. Before finishing up here, I do want to try to clean off some of the oil that has leaked out. Not going to be able to do a whole lot unless I do a whole wash, which I want to do at a car wash where they can trap the oil I'm washing off. But I can at least try to do a little bit of a wipe down. Also this way, if it leaks again, it'll be more obvious if there's been clean surfaces for it to leak onto. And finally, don't forget to put the plastic cover back on. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel, follow me on social media on Facebook and Instagram, and read the blog at mechanicalmalarkey.com. Thanks for watching.